You have created a monster and it will destroy you.
She's alive! Alive!
I am Dracula.
Welcome to a new episode of Monster Manor. This one has me a bit giddy, fellow Monster Kids. And if you grew up in the 70s and 80s, you know exactly why that is. Tonight, my guest is none other than Jack O'Halloran, who, again, if you were a kid in the 70s and 80s, you saw King Kong. You saw Superman 2, his character Non. You saw... if you were a little bit older, the Dragnet, movies where he played Emil from the group Pagan. So without further ado, and with great excitement, I introduce you to our friend, Jack O'Halloran. Welcome to Monster Manor, sir.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Oh, it's such an honor to speak to you. And I was just saying before we went to live, speaking with you is like, I never thought that we would be able to get someone like you and your caliber on the show, but much less than that, it's you're the pretty girl that nobody asked to prom. I was so nervous to even ask because I couldn't handle the rejection. So I thank you so much for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
So in doing my research, I saw that you have many distinct lives and moments in your life where, like Jack from the boxing era, and before that, basketball. Tell us about your early life and how that started with your involvement in sports like you were.
Well, in high school, I played football, basketball, track. I did multiple sports and did them quite well. And I had a lot of scholarships for football, and college was boring after the first year, so I was picked up by the New York Jets. But the problem in that era was that if you were going to play pro football, you couldn't play until your college class graduated. But they used to pick you up, and then they had like a farm team on the East Coast. And a lot of ball players, Dick Christie, and a lot of guys played in these games until their eligibility came up. And my time for eligibility came up for the Jets. Philadelphia had a pretty good team. That's where I was from. And I had a lot of friends of mine who were playing down there. So I said to Eubank, I said, I'd like to go down to Philadelphia and play for a year or so. And he said, well, you have home here in New York. Whatever you want to do, we're here. So I went down to Philly, and they sold the team to Jerry Wallman, who then hired a coach, Joe Kuharich, and he traded away a championship football team in a couple months. He traded Jurgensen and McDonald and a whole bunch of other good ball players. And Muhammad Ali had just won the title at the time, and I knew some people in Philly that controlled boxing. Mm-hmm. I can beat this guy. Well, that's a pretty good idea. And Kuharich was kind of not a good guy to get along with, so I told him to take the team and stick it. And I went into boxing. And I couldn't box amateur because I was already involved with a pro sport at that time. You couldn't do it. Today you can do that. You can be pro and amateur at the same time. So I started out professional boxing as a professional boxer. Couldn't box amateur and go into it, so I wound up in a gymnasium, and my boxing career started. And I was 16-0, and they turned around and found out that I suffered from a disease called acromegalia, which was a tumor of the pituitary, and they said you shouldn't even be boxing. How do you even get in the ring? Because it causes such mental depression.
Oh.
If your body was pumping out 10% growth hormone, mine was pumping out 150. So it bled your body down. And they couldn't figure how I would have the stamina to do it. So, but it was a day job because at night I was doing my father's business in the unions and different things of that nature out in the street. So, and you had to have a day job.
Right.
A good day job. So I continued to fight all over the world. And when I went
and you had how many championships?
Well, I was California heavyweight champion and New England heavyweight champion, and I did a lot of. And I'm in the Hall of Fame in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, California, and New England. So,
wow, that's phenomenal.
I was a world-ranked fighter for several years, and so I beat a lot of really serious heavyweight ranked fighters. So, and I was signed to fight Ali 4 times, and it just didn't work out. And then when I retired, finally they said, enough is enough. You got to get out. And they had offered me 4 or 5 films prior to my retirement. One of them, in 1969, they offered me The Great White Hope with James Earl Jones. And they thought I was definitely going to do it. And I turned them down, and I turned down The Common Crown Affair with Steve McQueen, who was a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
But then when I retired, they came to me to do a picture, Farewell, My Lovely, with Robert Mitchum. And I said, I think it's time that I look into this. So I went and did a screen test in California, and they flew me out there to do a screen test. And Mitchum said, it's either him or I don't do the movie.
Wow.
So he became like my mentor, and we became very close. And he walked me through the whole regime, and it worked out really well. It was a great film with a great cast. And it probably the first mistake I made in the film industry, because he had set up for me to do the Johnny Carson show to get nominated for supporting actor. And when I saw John at the Polo Lounge and we sat down and chatted, he said, if you come on my show, I'm going to get you nominated. And I said, your show is live, isn't it? And he said, yeah. And I said, they weren't taping then, they were doing live shows.
Yeah.
So I said, well, I don't think I can do your show. He said, well, what are you talking about? I said, well, I'm going to come on the show and you're going to ask me about my father, and I'm going to ask you where the men's room's at. He said, you can leave? And I said, yeah. I said, because I don't talk about my father and I don't want anybody else, putting all that out there and stuff. And Mitchum yelled at me. He said, you crazy, Hollywood loves that kind of stuff. And I said, yeah, you with your big mouth. Telling me. And I should have done the show. It was a foolish move on my part, because I probably would have got nominated for a supporting actor that year. The picture kept very well and did very well. And so then I just went on. I did King Kong, and I just worked one picture after the other. King Kong was the second picture I did. And then I did a picture down in Morocco with Gene Hackman and people, a thing called March or Die. And from there, we went to Superman.
Right. And I mean, my first introduction to you as an actor, obviously, and I remember it distinctly because it was the first movie that I ever saw in the theater. It was King Kong, 1976. And I loved your character in particular. When you go from a movie like Farewell, My Lovely into this classic adaptation of King Kong, I mean, Robert Mitchum and King Kong. I mean, what went through your mind with these roles that you were getting right out of the gate?
Mitchum was a great mentor, and he taught me something in the very beginning. He said, when the first day we ever went to work, actually, and he arranged to pick me up to take us down to the set. And we chatted because we had a long way to drive, so we chatted for a long time. And we got on the set, and I was going on to do the very first shot I ever did in the business. And he looked at me and he said, "Did you read that script, kid?" I said, "Read it. I know your role, Charlotte Rampling, John Ireland, Harry Dean Stanton." I said, "Yeah, I read it cover to cover." He said, "Good, throw it in the trash can." I said, he said, "Don't let me catch you doing what thousands of people do in this town, acting. Just be yourself." He said, "You've been a street kid all your life, and this character, just take this character, put him in you, and walk down the street like you, like it's you." And that was the best advice. I mean, Stallone had a small part in this movie, and there was a lot of action. So it was the best advice I could have ever gotten, and I never forgot that. And as the picture was going on, we had an Oscar-winning editor. There was like 4 Oscar people on the crew because of Mitchum. And the editor stopped me at Goldwyn Studios one day, and he said, "You're that kid, Jack O'Hara?" And I said, "Yeah, well, what's the deal?" He said, "Well, I'm sitting here editing this picture." He said, "And you're going to be a big star." And I said, "Yeah, good." So I grabbed Mitchum and I told him what the guy told me. And I said, "Maybe I should go to UCLA or somewhere for elocution lessons or whatever." He looked at me, he laughed at me. He said, "Stick with me, kid. You'll fall through silk. Don't worry about a thing. You're doing well."
Yeah.
and it worked out pretty good, he never tried to teach me how to act. He taught me about the business. He taught me how to look through the camera and and then he said something to me one time. And I remember the first shot we ever did, and they started moving stuff around. And I said to him, "What's going on here?" He said, "You really don't know." I said, "What am I asking you for?" He said, "That's it, kid. That's all there is to it." I said, "What?" I said, "Man, I'm a star." That became the tags thing in the movie. And then I asked him one day, I said, "What is the definition of a star?" And he said, "It's one word." He said, "It's presence."
Yeah.
Some people have a presence and the camera loves them, and some people don't. He said, you could go to a Brando picture or a Mitchum picture and come out of the theater and say, "Boy, wasn't Mitchum great at this, or wasn't Brando great at that?" And then you'll get a guy like Bill Holden, and you'll come out of the theater and say, "Boy, wasn't he good at that? What was that guy's name?" They don't remember people's names, like Gregory Peck or somebody like that. Some people have a presence and some people don't. And so the rest of my career, I just did exactly what he showed me to do, and just took the characters and put myself in it, and just made myself that person. I never worked with a lot of Jeff Bridges and a lot of people who were very much method actors. Brando was probably the biggest method actor of them all, and Brando and I got on like a house on fire. Brando was just incredible. Brando and people like Brando and Robert Mitchum and major stars like Ed Hackman, when they come on the set, you can hear a pin drop.
Oh, yeah.
People, the presence, they know their presence. And the old timers were a lot different than these young people coming up today, because they treated a camera crew like a family. So when they came to work in the morning, they would say hello to everybody. And when they went home at night, they'd say good night to everybody. And Mitchum, when Mitchum worked, if he ate steak, everybody ate steak.
Oh, wow.
That's the way he was. He was Robert was a unique individual. And he was probably the most well-read man I ever met in my life. Robert was I had a lot of fun with Mitchum. Mitchum and I became very, very good friends.
Well, I think his advice, for you especially, because that's what I remembered, was the authenticity of no matter what role it was that you were in. I think that's why I was drawn to you as a character in King Kong, which I told you when we spoke by phone. I was upset that you went off the log so fast. I loved your character, and especially your interaction with Jessica Lange Dwan. You were the everyman saying, we should really check this out.
Jessie was you could tell Jessica was going to be a star the moment she walked on the set. She was like 26 years old. She was a ballerina,
Yeah.
It was the first movie she ever did, and you knew she was going to be a star. She had that quality. She had a presence that the camera loved. So it was a great cast in King Kong. Charlie Grodin is a funny guy, and Jeff Bridges is a great actor. And Eddie Lauder, and there was just a lot of good people involved in the picture.
Yeah.
The director was a bit of a. It would have been a better picture if they'd had a better director. But it was pretty good as it was.
I don't know if you can talk about it, but you said when we were talking by phone about that log roll that the director came to you and said something. Can you talk about that?
On the log roll?
Yeah, when you were on that log roll, he said something about you maybe shouldn't have gone as early as you did, that you should have probably stayed in the movie.
That was the writer.
The writer.
Simple said to me, "Boy, what a waste of talent. Should have had a better character for you to follow through in the whole picture." After the movie was done, he said, "My God, Jack," he said, well, I'm sorry, it was a waste of talent. You should have had a much more deeper role than what you did."
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was a long picture. I mean, we worked for someone just coming in the industry. I think we worked like 9 months on that picture.
Yeah,
it was a long shoot.
Yeah, and I heard there were no end to problems with the animatronics, and they had Rick Baker, of course, playing King Kong, but then they had that life-size one that Carlo Rambaldi made that was a mechanical nightmare, from what I've read.
It was only together once. They used the arm and they used this, and the strings kept breaking. In fact, poor Jessie. I mean, when she was sitting in the palm of his hand, and the other hand was stroking her, the finger was coming down, and the string broke, and the finger fell and hit her in the head.
Oh my gosh!
We almost lost her before we even got started. But,
nothing like 100 pounds of foam and metal hitting you in the head.
I mean, it was a lot of. The problem was that there was like 4 producers walking around on that didn't know their elbow from their hand, and when you make a mistake and have to reshoot another day, it like cost you 4 times more than it did the day you were shooting. So
absolutely.
And there were too many people that didn't have the qualifications to be making decisions.
Yeah.
But it was, the picture came out very well. I mean, Jeff is a great actor, and it just worked. It worked even with the flaws. It worked pretty well.
Yeah, and no pun intended, but it had such huge shoes to fill with the comparison of the stop motion one that Ray Harryhausen, and he worked as an apprentice on it, but the stop motion work that was there, the acting and everything from the one from the 30s, and then the next time you see it, it's 76, and they tie it into the whole thing with Petrox and the fuel shortage. So they really did a good job in modernizing it for that time.
The script was terrific.
Yeah, with one flaw, you should have made it longer.
It was a good picture, though. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Then we did a picture of March or Die with Catherine Deneuve and Gene Hackman and Marcel Brzuffi and Terrence Hill, who was a big Italian actor.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big epic, but they never promoted it, I thought, correctly. It was too long. They had a version, 2-hour versions on what they call television and the ancillary things that was better than the version. They tried to get an hour and 43 minutes out of a 4-hour movie. It didn't work as well as it should have. But there was a lot of good moments in it. There was a lot of good acting. A lot of good people. Ian Holm was in it, and there were a lot of very good actors in it. So
absolutely.
We went from that right to Superman. They came to me to do the Bond movies, and I turned them down because they were coming to me to do Superman at the same time. So I felt Superman was a much better play than the Bond picture. And I didn't want to do a big, dumb guy. I didn't want to do roles like that. I tried to versatility roles of what I did. So,
Yeah.
Superman was a great opportunity to do. When I remember when Donner and I sat down and discussed, he said, "How do you feel about playing?" Because the character Non, they had lobotomized. He was a major scientist, and they lobotomized him because of his actions with Zod.
Yeah.
So, and he said, "How do you feel about playing a deaf, dumb, mute actor?" And I said, I embraced that." He said, "What?" I said, "Well, Jackie Gleason was a friend of mine and did a picture called Gigo, and he won an Oscar for playing a deaf, dumb, mute." I said, "So if I ever got an opportunity to do a film with facial expressions and body emotion,
Yes.
I would embrace doing it." And Non was a perfect deal because Zod was a vicious general. Sarah was a man eater, and
Yeah.
somebody had to relate to the children in the audience because it's a child's movie. So I took this big character and played him like a child, learning
Yeah.
how to work his eyes and and getting all excited when things worked and stuff, and it worked very well, evidently.
Oh yeah, I mean that was of the three baddies, and I had seen Terrence Stamp in things before, but of the three baddies, I was always drawn to you as well. First of all, I recognized you from King Kong, but then it was like this guy is awesome, and I could relate. There was one scene that we actually. My cousin and I were talking about earlier. It was the scene where Sarah grabs the snake and she's grabbing the snake and it bites her, and then she kind of zaps him. Well, you try the same thing with the stick. And that scene with your eyes, your expression, everything that went into that, it seemed so small, but that was such a telling scene. It was really amazing.
Yeah, a lot of people were drawn to it as well. But just the character allowed me to do things that I wanted to do, facial and body language, and it worked. I mean, I remember the first Comic-Con I ever went to, and people came up to me and they said, "Oh my God, you can actually talk?"
Yeah.
And then some people would come up and say, "I'm like, you scared the death out of me, but I loved your character."
Yeah.
Because it related to children, the
Yeah.
children didn't understand it. So it turned out pretty well.
Well, there was another actor who I absolutely idolize, and that's Boris Karloff. He won my heart in 1931's Frankenstein. And he had that ability as well to be able to pantomime a scene, and you know exactly what he's thinking, exactly what pain he's going through, and you had that same ability to do that with a character like Non.
Yeah, I mean that's I just like I said I had a great mentor. Mitchum. Mitchum was a terrific, and he was in England shooting The Big Sleep. I was doing Superman, so we used to go down on each other's sets, and he would come down and visit me, and I would visit him, and just make sure that I wasn't sliding backwards.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if anyone could have imagined at the time that Richard Donner took on Superman. I mean, that was really the first big superhero movie, and a lot of people didn't take superhero films seriously. But with Richard Donner at the helm, it made it a different thing altogether. Especially the tagline of the film, "You'll believe a man could fly." So we knew that something was different about that.
Just a brilliant director. I mean,
Yes.
I mean, there were a lot of people that were tested for Superman. And when they tested Christopher, I mean, he had not done anything prior other than Love of Life and I think a stage play where he held a spear for Katharine Hepburn. But Donner saw a look on this kid that he wanted for Clark Kent Superman. And there will never be another person who will do Clark Kent Superman twist over like Christopher did.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That's Donner. Donner got that performance out of him. I mean, Donner was just an incredible. I mean, he let you go. If you were giving him what he wanted, he loved it. He just let you be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He had to over direct you. I mean, like he and I had serious discussions on Non and how I was going to play it and how we were going to do it, and I did exactly what I told him I would do, and he was thrilled with everything I did. We never, and I just walked on the set and did my thing, and he was just happier than a lark. You know?
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
worked pretty well.
Well, was there, you always have to ask about the behind the scenes when it comes to a film like that, because you have the hero, the hero of the film, and then you have these bad guys that everyone loves to hate, but it's hard because they're all Kryptonian. Was there kind of a separation in the cast behind the scenes? Like, did Christopher kind of separate himself from you guys?
It was like a great family. I got to tell you, it was. I mean, when you work together for 3 years,
Yeah,
you become pretty close, and it was a close family. The saddest part was when they replaced Donner for Richard Lester.
Yeah.
Christopher should have stood up and said, "No Donner, no me."
Yeah.
And they would never have been able to do that. And they did it because they were saving money. And they owed Lester a picture. And how do you cut Marlon Brando out of a movie? Marlon Brando was cut out of the Lester picture.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the Lester picture, and then you look at the Donner cut, which is a much better picture, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's got Marlon all through it, and it's just a better picture. And had they let Donner fit, because he had already shot 86% of 2.
Mm.
He was so much into shooting 2. We were shooting 1 and 2 together, and he was so much into shooting 2, they had to stop him so they could deliver 1 because they had a delivery date.
Yeah.
And in fact, it actually worked out better for Alexander Salkind because Warner Brothers was pressing him because they were close to the delivery date, and they weren't really finished with 1. And they said to Alexander, well, maybe we won't distribute 2. And Alexander said, oh, well, does that mean I can bring other exhibitors in to take a look at what we have? And they said, yeah, no problem. Well, I was at the screening when they had it at Pinewood Studios, and when they brought all the exhibitors in, they showed the fight scene.
Mm-hmm.
And Warner Brothers couldn't get the money off the rubber bands off fast enough.
Yeah.
They said, wow, man. Because we broke a lot of technology rules. We shot VistaVision on VistaVision. They shot us into the film. So there was not any CGI or anything.
Right.
It looked so real that we were flying under bridges around buildings and fighting up in the air and stuff. And there was no wires. We did that. We had this huge 70-foot screen and 3 pole arms that came out with body molds that we laid in, and they shot us into the movie. And it was in fact, it was probably the precursor to LED on LED. It was really, they broke a lot of cinematography rules, boy, and it worked really well. That's why the movie's so iconic today.
Yes.
Years later, it works really well.
Absolutely.
The eye stuff,
Yeah, I mean that's the thing that kind of makes that a timeless film, is that everything still holds up today, especially as you mentioned, the Richard Donner cut. Seeing that the first time, you saw truly what his vision was for that, and it was so much better. So, and visually, they cleaned everything up as well.
There wasn't as much comedy in it. Lester put a lot of comedy in it, and Donner was more of a serious. If they let Donner finish 2, he would have done 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
He lived, eated, and slept Superman. He and Mankiewicz were a great team.
Absolutely.
They were so much into it. It was phenomenal. It was just. In fact, we're pushing now to do another Superman. I've written a great synopsis for a film and treatment, and we're going to bring Christopher back on screen and the 3 villains in hologram.
Yeah.
And we've got a great storyline, boy. And it's if we can get finished with Warner Brothers and get a license from them, it'll revolutionize the Superman deal again. Because the problem with superhero movies today is that the superheroes are killing as many people as the bad guys are.
Yes.
And it's
Yeah.
getting a little out of hand. You know what I'm saying? So we want to go back to the way it was, what we did we were locking people up. But what I've written is there's a technology that we get from another planet that is even better yet. We rehabilitate people.
Yeah.
And there's no violence on the backside of killing them or throwing them in jail and stuff like that. It's under a whole different type of rehabilitation thing, and works really much better. But to put Christopher back on the screen again would be phenomenal.
Yes, I mean that was such a great loss to film as a whole because as a kid I knew him as Superman, but as an adult you knew him from all of his other movies and Somewhere in Time and all these beautiful things that he did. He was really an amazing actor, and it was just tragic the way that he went.
Yeah, it really was. It was a sad deal, but But if we pull this off, it'll rejuvenate the whole franchise, and we got such a great storyline. I think we're going to get away with it. It's going to be, but bringing him back and bringing the three villains, we're going to take the three villains and change their mindset to make them good guys again.
Yeah,
and they're going to reverse my lobotomy, so I'm going to be able to speak, and I'm going to be a scientist again. And the first thing I'm going to say is, Zod, kneel before Non.
That would be some comeuppance. Have you ever tried that with Terrence Stamp?
Terry, I love Terry. He was such a phenomenal actor. As a young man, he was one of the greatest actors in England. He was just a trippy, and he's and sad today. He's got dementia really bad. So
yeah,
how long he's going to be around? But Sarah's very good. Sarah's working all the time, and we all stayed friends together for all these years. I mean, Jimmy Olsen. So we've had a lot of fun over the years doing Comic-Cons and stuff.
Yeah. I followed some of your exploits in I guess it was Metropolis for the reunions there. That looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, we had a ball. I enjoy the Comic-Cons. It's nice to relate to the fan base,
Yeah.
People that make the movies what they are, it's good to relate to people.
Oh yeah, and that's actually a good segue, and I want to circle back after this, but your Comic-Con reference was perfect segue for this. We have recently talked about having you out to Phantasm as a guest, and you've accepted. So we would like to thank you very much for that. And
I think we're going to have a good time.
Yeah, it should be really fun. And like I said, with Phantasm, with it being such a nice, tight show, you're going to fit right in, and people are going to absolutely love you. Because is this your first Southeast convention, or have you been to Florida area?
No, it's the first one I've done in Orlando. Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's
Tampa. I did one in Tampa a few years ago.
Yeah.
2 years ago, I did one in Tampa, and I had a lot of boxing people that came because I had a couple fights in Florida.
Yeah.
It was, it's going to be. I'm looking forward to it, actually.
When you said you would do that, I was pinching myself. I screamed at producer lady. He said yes. So I am so excited.
Yeah, I expect we're going to have a good time. I really, you probably have a pretty good fan base for this thing, right?
We do, and it's growing. And that's another announcement we can make here. We're actually in final talks to get on a streaming network called Strem, which will actually place us in like the last numbers they had was 3,000 viewers a day. So we are excited about that, and we're excited about all of the guests that we've had on to help support us and get us there, because we've only been a show for a year and a half, and we've grown to about across all platforms about 20,000 viewers, unique viewers across all of our platforms. So it is growing. People love what we're doing. So
I'm getting ready to do a horror picture. We have a great script thing called Red River, which is it has a Faust twist to it.
Oh,
It's really a neat horror picture with a great twist. So it's not as gory and crazy as some horror pictures, It has
yes.
this Faust twist to it that really excited me, and I accepted to do the lead role in it a couple months back, and we're getting ready to shoot that in Nevada.
Oh, wow. I can't wait to hear about that. You'll have to come back on and tell us all about that one.
Yeah, it's great. It's going to be. In fact, I'll send you let you look at the script. It's really a great script.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. I will totally honor any NDAs and keep that secret between us.
Yeah,
But that is fantastic. And if you need a special effects artist, I'm always around. So but that sounds fantastic, man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Actually, it's one of the projects that we have going. We're building a studio in Nevada, which is something that's been needed for a long time. We're going to put a 4 million square foot studio there. And
Oh,
we'll
wow.
house everything under one roof for the first time in the industry. I mean, we'll have it'll suffice film, television, streaming, music, every bit of technology that is out there and what's coming. Put a water body in. We're gonna put. I mean, you won't have to leave Nevada. Everything will be right there at your fingertips.
Wow.
We're picking a smart city right next to it that'll house 30,000 people, all employees of the studio, and they'll only have to travel 15 minutes to go to work.
Yeah.
Instead of hours each way. So it's very cost effective, and it's much different if I'm driving a couple hours to work. By the time I get there, I got to unwind my mind, and especially technicians. So now they'll be ready to go to work when they walk on the set. So it's saves a lot of aggravation,
Yeah. It's a shame we haven't been able to motivate Florida to look at that, the concept. Back in '89 was the last time that they took film industry seriously, and haven't really looked at it since. So it's a shame that we can't get something moving like that in Florida.
Well, they started in North Carolina, then they went to Georgia, then they moved down to Florida, then they went to New Orleans because they got the tax deal from the oil field. Now they've lost that. So we went to Nevada, and we've got a 45% tax deal in Nevada. And we're not asking the state to write a check off of their budget. We want a piece of the action of the business we bring into the state. So it's a tax rateable deal.
Right.
There's no burden on the state at all.
Exactly. In fact, it does nothing but help the state, because it encourages all the ancillary businesses in the area, from transportation.
Absolutely. And you put a 45% tax deal, and you got production from all over the world.
Yes.
So we're going to put 110 sound stages in.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's going to be, and everything, wardrobe, everything will be right there at your fingertips. You won't have to go buzzing all over the place to get this or get that. Your editing is right there, minutes away from you. So it's just going to make very cost effective for productions.
That could be revolutionary for the industry.
Oh yeah, we've put a lot of time and energy into this. This is something that we've given a tremendous amount of thought to, and it's just something that has been needed for a long time, because even if you do Warner Brothers, people have to run across town to get this or a piece of wardrobe or something like that. So you've got Teamster drivers taking a couple hours of the day traveling around the city. That's all costs you a lot of money when all that stuff happens.
Oh, absolutely.
The delays of waiting for this and waiting for that, and so we're going to eliminate all that. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, you are not slowing down, because I noticed you even have a book that looks absolutely phenomenal to me. Could you tell us a little bit about that before we move on from the wonder?
You know,
With,
Somebody made a comment.
Tommy, I'll just send you, I'll
are
send
you
you
seeing this?
I'll send you the original manuscript. It's the book is we're telling you truth about a lot of things from that world. My father was a very famous individual called Albert Anastasia.
Yeah.
He was the head of Murder Incorporated, and his family was that it turned into the Gambino family when they assassinated my father in '57 because he didn't want the drug business.
Mm,
They did The Godfather and Brando. They approached him, and Brando said, "If we touch it, or children will touch it, it'll be the downfall of the families." Well, Albert said that, and he controlled all the harbors. So he said, "You're not bringing that stuff in through my harbors. We didn't sign up for this. You know, that's not what we're about." And he was right. You know, it's caused nothing but problems ever since. You know, it's been
yeah.
the drug world has just been a stab in the arm of society. Period. You
Mhm.
know? So so it works out. You know, I said, you know, I'm tired of watching Hollywood take liberties
Mhm.
and people write books that aren't really true, and people telling stories that they put their own input in. So it's time to tell the truth about what the transitions were, you know, about Jimmy Hoffa, about the Kennedy assassination, and we're going to tell the truth about John Kennedy's assassination. You
Wow.
know,
Well,
really,
if our viewers are interested in getting a copy of that book, where's the best way for them to get that? Is
we
that
can go right to Amazon. And it's on Amazon, and we got two more books getting ready to come out, and it's good because we're going to do a mini series. We wanted to do a film, and then I said, you know, there's so much material that you can't jam that into a movie. It just won't work.
right?
So we decided to do a mini series that'll turn into a series,
Mhm.
and it should run a long time because we're going to just tell the truth about how everything has unfolded over the years, right up to modern day. You know how
Wow.
what the difference in organized crime and how it all really dissipated and why. You know, you go back to the beginning in 1920 or right before that. You know, organized crime and the government and the unions and industry were all partners. They
Mhm.
all watched out for each other, and it all worked out very well, and all the way up until somewhere around the '60s. You know, and that's when the milk spilled, and it was sad because Albert, my father, was the glue that held a lot of it together because
Mm.
he wouldn't tolerate certain things. And
Yeah.
when he passed away, it just fell apart. You know,
Wow.
everybody took their pot shots.
Well, I look forward to reading that book and learning more about that because that's, we've always had, like you said, the Hollywood eye of the crime underworld,
Well,
and
it's
and
like
this,
they just got done doing The Irishman on Netflix,
yeah,
and The Irishman is, I mean, I I knew that guy very well, and he didn't kill Hoffa, and he
yeah,
never killed Jimmy Gallo. I mean, he killed a few people, but he was a driver for Russell Buffalino, who was a strong individual don and from Western Pennsylvania and
mhm,
very politically oriented. He was very tied up with Washington. And I liked Russell. Russell was a good guy. In fact, if Russell saw that movie, he would turn over in his grave.
oh, I'm sure,
Just depicted things so badly that they took liberties and, you know,
oh
they
yeah,
claimed that it really didn't happen, you know. They wrote a book about him painting houses because he hit a couple people, but he wasn't the person that they made him out to be.
yeah, yeah,
And Hollywood does it. They do liberties. You know, everybody has been wondering where Hoffa's been ever since he disappeared. You know,
yeah,
Jimmy was a good friend. I knew Jimmy well. And, you know, he really didn't ever think he was going to. I mean, the charge they put against Hoffa was so ridiculous.
Mhm.
Because they said that he stole $8,000 from the pension fund. Well, there was no pension fund until Hoffa. Hoffa
Yeah.
created the pension fund. And if
Yeah.
Hoffa wanted to fix something at his house, people would have lined up to do it for nothing.
Right.
You understand? There would have been no, Jimmy Hoffa was a man's man. He would never ask you to do what he wouldn't do himself.
Right. Right.
That's the way he was. I mean, he was. I was on strike things with him in Philly and down at Waterfront and a few other things, and I liked Jimmy. Jimmy was a straightforward shooter, boy. But he went to jail, and he didn't think he was going to be there that long, and he backed the wrong president, and the Kennedys were after him because he controlled so much of the vote. The Teamsters was huge, and he had a big voting power, and they wanted to negate that, so they made sure he went to jail, and they wanted to disgrace him, and it just a lot of it backfired. A lot of it was sad. I remember when he came home, and Jimmy was his own worst enemy. He created his own problems, and he signed a bad deal to come out of jail, and he wasn't supposed to go near the union for X amount of time, and he came out and walked right in Fitzsimmons' office and threw him out. Said, "This is my office, my union, and I'm taking it back." And they said, "But Jimmy, you signed papers stating you can't be in part of the union for a period." He said, "I don't want to hear that." Blah 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 blah. Then he got into an argument with some people on the phone in New York, and the last thing he said was, "I'll go to the press." And the guy in New York hung the phone up, and that was the end of Hoffa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sad, but he's not buried anywhere, and he's not. They're never going to find him, and it's, they've got so many stories floating. I'll tell you a funny story. There was a guy in Chicago who got locked up, and his father had a gentleman's farm, like 25 acres or something outside of Chicago. And he went out and tilled it every year for him, turned it over. But then he put him in jail. So he was in jail, and his poor father was an old guy, and he couldn't do. So he went to the FBI, and he said, "Jimmy's buried on my father's farm." They went and they dug his whole farm up looking for Hoffa, which wasn't there. But his father got his farm turned over.
That's some underhanded stuff. Smart though.
I thought it was kind of cute myself.
Well,
there's so many stories that people jump into. So it's time to tell the truth about some things.
Yeah.
They just did this offering, and they did a pretty good job with Al Ruddy and how they made The Godfather, how they did The Godfather, and how they made it, and why it was successful.
Yeah.
But The Godfather, Puzo wrote what he was told to write.
Right.
And it came out very well. It's probably Godfather 2 is probably one of the best films that's been made in our time.
Oh yeah.
But even then they got carried away with 3, and they didn't. Hollywood once more had to put the 2 cents into it. And it didn't turn out as well as the second one.
Right. Well, it's hard for the sequels to top, but 2 is really a good follow-up.
2 was a great movie.
Yeah.
Brilliant film. Like Superman. Superman 2 was a hell of a movie. The Donner cut is very good.
Yes.
You look at the Donner cut and you really, as far as they're iconic movies, that when you got a movie that 47 years later, kids get excited about.
Yeah.
Because it's entertainment.
Yep.
You have a superhero flying around, and it really, the one-liner that they had, "Can you believe a man can fly?"
Yeah.
Still sticks. Because he doesn't do it with violence. Superman was a whole different kettle of fish, than what they're doing today. So bringing him back on screen and doing this the way we're going to do it is going to be great for the fan base.
And we need that nowadays. We need hope, and we need a little fantasy that has a positive spin to it.
Well, people want to be entertained. They don't want to be scared to death. They actually want to be entertained.
Right.
The theater looking over their shoulder, and it's there's too much violence involved in what's going on in the
Right.
today, and it's sad, really is.
Yeah. I mean, Superman never was Batman, and I think that's where the newer interpretations get it wrong, is that he is so dark and brooding. When Superman was different, he was always about hope and bringing out the best in humanity, not being better than them, but just showing them the path.
Well, that's why the more the later Superman, they got darker and darker and darker.
Yeah.
And then they did the Superman and Batman thing, and oh my God, I said, wow, and he takes on Doom and dies almost and stuff. And it just so we believe that we're going to get this thing pushed through, and it's going to be great for the fan base. It'll be great for entertainment, for moviegoers, period.
I hope so.
Entertainment again. You know what I mean?
I hope so. And definitely, as you move forward with that, feel free to come on anytime. You're family with the show now. I am so grateful that you came on, and I knew this was going to be a fast hour. We're already at the hour mark, but I can't thank you enough. I can't wait for Phantasm, to see you there and be able to chat with you and see your interactions with the fans. I know that they're going to love you as much as I do.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it, having a good time. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Well, we will be talking again very soon, I'm sure. Call anytime. But thank you again for being on the show. And thank you I know it's late. We're both East Coast now. But thank you for coming on so late.
I'll send you a copy of the manuscript so you can read it.
Oh, that would be beautiful. Thank you.
I'll email it to you tonight.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So, Jack O'Halloran, yes, definitely go follow him on social media, and let's support what he does, because this is a man of men. I've adored him for a long time from afar, and following his posts, and getting to speak with him and doing it on behalf of Monsterkids and superhero fans everywhere is even that much more important. So. Special thanks to Jack O'Halloran for taking time out of his day for us. So without further ado, we're going to bring on Boris.
Yeah, but you're the bastard, okay? Boris got to stand
Language.
outside. No, but that's the language. Boris got to stand outside. You talk another. Zone, and then the guy with the emerald with the testicles in the jar, and the thing beating Tom Hanks Forrest dumps ass with the drawer. That's Emma Munch, and you make Boris stand outside. Boris. Can't even talk to the man.
Boris, you're going to meet him again at Phantasm.
Oh, meet the Phantasm. Boris going to be in another box in Phantasm. What?
Do your disclaimer before we go.
Okay, disclaimer is these people are a-holes. They make Boris with outside with Jack O'Halloran gonna be here. They did it with the damn Michael Berryman. They make it with the freaking Daniel Roebuck. They did it with everybody else. Who Boris get to talk to? Like, Mr. Schmagaggle over there standing here, what the hell, last week, the week before, and the artist they sitting over here. But the disclaimer is Boris is pissed off, and these people are a-holes, and whatever come out of Boris' mouth gonna be really sour tonight. And you know what? You didn't even ask the man how they pooped in the Phantom Zone.
Sir, listen.
What?
I don't think anybody cares how they pooped in the Phantom.
Well, they didn't get a chance to go to the bathroom in the light when the frisbee, the death hoops caught them, and everybody guilty with the Muppet heads. Listen, Boris is mad. He's gonna not.
We know you're a fan, and I promise you,
He's a super fan now.
we will. Yes,
This is bad enough that they got pissed off at Boris, and Boris can't do the other thing because it's the hottest Satan's testicles out there. We just can't do the stuff
Disclaimer.
Yeah.
with where the hell the question button? See, you forgot that too. This is a shouty show tonight because the man come down and talk to you, and you're going to send your book. You know what he's going to send Boris? Ugats. But anyway, Boris got his own guest tonight. He finds somebody from the old country. Yes, from the high school graduating class. Made it big in Hollywood as a therapist to the stars, but not the whole stars, the monsters. Because monsters got problems.
Oh, okay. Well, this should be a good interview.
Yeah, so he's gonna be all right. We're gonna go do like festival. Hi, everybody. Today we got the good shows for you. We got everything. This is gonna be a barn burner. It's gonna be make your testicles pull up in yourself. It's got Dr. Eternal. What's gonna take
Stop
things?
saying testicles.
Okay, your balls gonna pull up inside yourself.
You're
Your jumbles.
being extra crude tonight.
Great, because he had to wait while you talk to another living legend. Somebody breaks bad again. Fix your damn brakes. So anyway, we got the nice guy. We're not going to let Fence to make it talk to him. He's got to stand outside. Bring on Dr. Eternal, therapist and psychiatrist to the monsters.
Yeah, boss, it's very good to see you again. It's been way too long.
Yes, thank you. And Boris mad. Did you see what happened? Shunned again.
Well, it happens. You've been shunned as long as I've known you. You've been very unpopular creature.
But then that's not going to be about Boris. It's the ego. Not going to move the
No,
camera.
not about you, Boris. Not about you at all.
No, but how is it being the only therapist to the monsters in the monster world?
Therapist. Yeah, it's so tricky. I mean, at least work is good. There's no competition. But the monsters have got so many problems that you wouldn't even imagine.
What type? What problem monster have? I mean, they're ugly, they're mad, they get to eat people. What would you say is the big monster problem?
Oh, and one of the biggest, of course, is they feel like cut off from society. You don't ever go out and see a whole bunch of monsters at the prom. You don't see them in restaurants. You never walk in and see a mummy having some nice pasta at an Italian restaurant. He's not welcome there.
The mummy, yeah, I can understand the mummy not being welcome at the pasta restaurant. I mean, what
He
happened?
feels rejected. He feels...
Continue. You slot smart the Boris, so keep with the stuff. Boris not going to interrupt.
Oh, the mummy has so many problems anyway. I mean, let's face it. He's older than most. So he's got... You don't realize the pressures that comes with being over 1,000 years old.
You got the weird shuffle thing in the arm. He's like, everybody sees Mummy as a joke monster because he shuffled it like a one-legged 4-year-old, and then you grab the people and then you got to choke them.
Between you and me, he's never at his appointments on time. He's always a bit late, sometimes over an hour. I got to challenge him anyway.
Okay, that could be a problem, but he also got the problem with like Boris think canopic jars. Half his organs are canopic jars, so that can't be easy either.
No, I know it's not good. But forget about the mummy for a second. There's all the monsters have all sorts of problems.
Like
Frankenstein. You think he's he's a very famous monster. You think that he'd have a huge people running after him asking for his autograph. But he is so intimidating. He's not inside. He's a little puppy. He's like a little puppy. He's got a little heart, and it breaks when people run.
Boris can see that. He's a big 9-foot man. He's got to have a lot of problems because he's sewn together from a lot of people.
Exactly.
He's got the one problem. He's got the left arm got the problem, the right leg got the problem. The
No,
butt
those
cheek got the
people got
problem.
their own problems into the monster of Frankenstein. Well, it's not even his name. People call him Frankenstein. His name's Adam.
Thank you. Everybody, it's Frankenstein. It's a Frankenstein monster. You did shit.
And also, they don't call it Frankenstein's son. Frankenstein's creation sometimes. But no, it's like Frankenstein's monster. The monster of Frankenstein. So even if they get his name proper, they still mess it up.
Well, and then, like you read the book, and then you see what Hollywood did. They made the flat top and then the shuffling 2 IQ guy and the Frankenstein talking in the book, right?
Ding, ding, ding on the nose. He's a very well-spoken man overall in the book. He's, once again, got problems, but that's why I'm here. I deal with their problems.
Yeah, that's what they need. The man that opened up his heart and then his head and helped the monsters through the problems. Like the Invisible Man, he must have like a lot of identity issues.
No, nobody recognizes him. They just walk right by him as if he's not even there. He feels terrible. He feels cut out all the time.
And he's not even like the real monster. He's just a naked guy nobody can see that has kind of like anger issues.
Mm-hmm. And one of the trickiest parts of this entire business is you can't kill them too much. Otherwise, they won't be monsters.
That's true.
And
what makes the monster?
Income drops. You ever see an out-of-work monster? What do? Carnies?
I mean, there's Con, maybe, but that's about it. But then you has been.
It's not a bad job, the Comic-Con, but still, it's like you lose your essence. It's the feeling of what makes you and who you are is what's important. And whether that is because you're an undead creature of Satan or a hacked-together piece of personages that are all wrapped together, or someone who's just bitten by a wolf. You've got to retain who you are. Find out the inner you.
I mean, it's true. That the only thing that separates us from the monsters is, I guess, what you said in your book, monster, me, monster. The monsters accept who they are in society. And the human beings, we live under a joke. We think we're normal people.
I tell you something, Boris. You know this as well as I do. Deep down inside, we all have a little bit of monster in us.
The producer lady got a lot of monster in her.
Well, of course, yeah. Well, you have more monster than most, but anybody.
Oh no, not Boris. Boris, no, he monster, but producer lady, the lady run Festival Make Life, that nepotism has to run the show. Like that lady be doing like 3 things about them. One of them was like she could slam a revolving door or choke you with this revolving phone, like the cordless phone. That lady dribbled a medicine ball once.
Wait. She can choke you with a cordless phone?
Yep, Boris saw that twice. 2 people dead in the Radio Shack, gone.
What the cord I thought would be important.
You think, right? But it's surreal. It's very. You don't want to see that happen.
No, I don't. That sounds horrible. Well, luckily, I, of course, am at the distance. You're working right there in the thick of things.
Yeah, so how is the psychiatric Institute of Monstership stuff in the old country? How you doing with the...
It's going well, It turns out that the 21st century is quite big on more monsters. We're getting more and more of them, which is very helpful for the business. I mean, from a monetary standpoint.
You're probably rolling in the dough right now.
It's doing quite well. Yes, exactly. The dough is rolling in.
What the hell are they? It's hard. They're like crawling under the desk over here like the preverts and stuff. This is what Boris get the ass end of the show.
So he's in the old country.
Yes.
So he's rolling in boobles, not dough.
No, he got dough. He only take cash.
Oh, okay.
Well, actually, he take dough. Literal dough. I have been known to do all sorts of things. I also have a barter system, because the way I see it like this, Boris, with all of this money, this strange, online money, that I'm going with, I'm just going with whatever comes out. Who knows?
Well, that's good. I mean,
so you don't accept crypto?
Well, no. Right off the bat, let's face it, crypto, the very word, the prefix crypto, what does it mean?
And the wheelchair to get the part close to the walls more, right?
Not crippled, and that's not politically correct.
No, crypto. Crypto.
With a crypt.
Oh, crypto, so you're stealing from the mummy for cryptocurrency.
No, well, you could. He's tried to pay with crypto before. I said, no, I don't need any of that. It's like, your Egyptian whatever is not good here. But that's why he's on an outpatient basis. We're not going to give him a permanent.
You know, that bonus thing, probably the worst one to pay you is the leprechaun, because he give you the gold, and then you get pissed off that he give you the gold, so then you want it back, and then he haunts you for a while.
It's not the crazy. Most of the leprechauns not cute, they're not cute little sprites as people think.
No,
quite horrendous.
So they all look like Warwick Davis, basically, even the lady leprechauns.
Producer ladies not too far off.
But even the other ladies look like the leprechaun in the old country, though.
Well, there's all sorts of things. But anything can be a monster now. You can have your leprechaun monsters. You can have elf monsters, pixie monsters. Every group has its own definition, which makes it very, as I said, it makes it a very possible, profitable business.
So, okay, which monster that you don't have on your couch do you want on the Institute couch?
You have well-balanced monsters you're talking about?
Well, which monster haven't you done therapy that you want on the couch to fix?
Who would I like to have on the couch? I've not had the chance to discuss it. Well, of course, the creature from the Black Lagoon is one. I'd love to be able to talk to him.
I work for the Postal Service now.
Yeah, there's a gill man at the Postal Service delivering Borders package at the Masters. They're always wet. He'll give you a card.
Precisely. He's dealing. He's coping now. He's coping very well. I can't argue, but I just love to be able to talk to him because I've never heard him say a single word. I'd like to hear what he has to say for himself. He's always quiet.
Maybe you can set up a televisit.
Well, he argues.
You want to do the damn interview? First of all, Boris
I'm only making suggestions.
So she wanted to set up television so you can watch him and have him gurgle at you.
Well, as I can't really bleed underwater, it'd have to be some sort of situation like that.
But he's come out of the water, but he's and it's kind of boring.
Godzilla! I would love to talk to Godzilla.
Which Godzilla? The American Godzilla or the real Godzilla?
Oh, the real Godzilla, of course. American Godzilla. Come on. It's like...
Yeah, not the lizard thing that everybody go pooey on with the Matthew Broderick thing.
Be able to sit down and talk to the real Godzilla, it'd be fascinating because why does he want to stop? Is it a desire of his? It'd be fine. He was doing great.
Uh-oh.
What possessed him to come out? I understand originally nuclear testing of weaponry disturbed his little abode, but how is stopping to Tokyo going to help that is what I want to know. Did it?
I mean, maybe it's like, the smash therapy. You're going to break the vases and stuff in the place where you pay with the sledgehammer. But that's,
as a monster therapist, you don't want to start.
No.
You don't ever even suggest destruction therapy when you're dealing with monsters.
Of course not.
What's a bad idea? Bad leads to...
Who ate Thunderboard there? Listen, man, you took all the damn time talking to Mr. Zahar. Border's going to talk to his guest. All right, so first to make it say we got to cut short.
That's
Can you come back on the show, too? Because Border's going to... Definitely want to speak to you.
It's always good to see you again, Boris.
It's great seeing you, Doctor. His book, Monster Meaning Me Monster, is the Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and What the Hell This Monster Doing Inside Me? That's his first book. Is exclusive at the Monster Institute Old Country.
And it's out in paperback.
Paperback and the PDF yet?
Of course, yeah.
Thank you, Doctor. Yes, we're going to do the goddamn promo after Dr. Turtle leaves.
Stay out of the sun. Your complexion will just, you'll thank me for it later.
Thank you very much, Dr. Turtle. Boris gonna need the prescription after this. Maybe his meds. What are you waving at? You want the? Well, there he goes. You left them in the shoe. No, what? Wave them off because we got to do the crappy thing. Sorry, this is Professor Maker being the royal pain in the hemorrhoid here. He got what he wanted. Now Boris got to jump through the hoop, do damn promo things.
Onto our TikTok after show.
TikTok after show. Boris may go home after this, okay? Mr. Eagle Master over here writing the stuff because you didn't. Think better never do promos. He never do damn promo unless he said, "Mr. Jack Hallen's gonna be at the Fantastic."
Well, maybe Dr. Eternal is available. And when we do the ticky tacks with Boris, we can talk about
All right, well, you tell him. You do
about Penster Maker.
You do the producer like stuff.
Like couples therapy. What do you think, Dr. Eternal?
Boris, your time is up, really. I've got other things I have to do.
All right, thank you, Dr. Eternal. See, even the Dr. Eternal don't like Boris. Boris is gonna quit. Boris is gonna go and work at Halloween Horror Nights selling popcorn for $11 to tourists.
Good night, Dr. Eternal.
Thank you, Dr. Eternal. Boris is going to send you to make a credit card for the bill.
That was fantastic.
See, now you come over again. All right, here we go. Boris got to do train monkey crap. Oh, by the way, Dr. Peggy Pet Zoo closed this week. They did the head count and they 3 alligators short. So if you're in the area of Dr. Peggy Pet Zoo, you may want to take your pets inside, put some over the pool, and not go out. So we got this book crap stuff Boris got to do again. Train monkey, Phantasmal Lander. You know this crap since we started the year again. www.phantasmfish.com, 19th to 21st August. But Boris going to do this right because Mr. Jacko sponsored. Mr. Jack O'Halloran, sponsored by Monster Manor, going to be there. So if you miss this, there's no excuse for you. You don't have to see anybody part of the thing. You'll have to go to like any place you show up at the table and you see the living legend that survived the Phantom Zone and beat up Tom Hanks and Dan Aykroyd in Dragnet. He was a member of Pagan. One night Spider-Man had. August 19th, 21st. Then October 29th, we do the Halloween Family Vendor Show for the veterans grave restoration. You come out there. If you don't, you a-hole because it's for veterans and it's nice and they got the it's a charity. And you got trunk or treat. You get to take a body home out of the trunk. No. And then we got the December.
Do not tell people we are taking their veterans' bodies home.
Not veteran bodies, other bodies. They don't take the veterans. They don't exhume the veterans when they fix the grave. They don't use an open grave.
Fundraiser for the people to buy the materials to go out and clean the veteran gravestones and stuff.
So you want to do that? You want to do it? You know, damn thing. You can do it. You know how to read. Look him holding up the damn thing like cue card, like friggin' train monkey. And then December is Krampus Con. Check the website for links. Hold on, Boris can't see behind the camera. Krampus Con with the KK. Check out the website for links. Only 2Ks. Two. We're not that bad. Anyway, Krampus, if you know, there's a mythical demon live on the other side of the North Pole. Beat the hell out of the bad kids, put them in his bag, and beat them with reeds. He's not bad. Pretty much that's the one Boris is going to go do. Watch some kids get the crap kicked out of them with the Krampus Con. Pay extra $10, Krampus beat your kid. So, it's been another crap thing for Boris because he got the crap end of the stick. Professor make it take a big stick with a big like spoon on the end. Yeah, look, Boris, I can talk Mr. Hallen. There you go. And then Boris, I'm gonna mess up your guest spot because you know with the thing on the freeze, Dr. Turner, producer lady, gonna talk about. And then you got to hang up, hold up the big thing, and make you do that, and then do like train monkey. Boris gonna. Come on, TikToks, but not in another hour. We're going to be sitting here and probably have to do goddamn match game again with this. But it's the end of the show. Again, with Boris sits. Thank you, Dr. Eternal. Boris, the credit card, the email you, that's Spencer Maker. So charge that.
Good luck.
That's the new one. Boris sign you up that one. See, that's why you got to go through your mail before the Saturdays, because Borders will get the credit card offer and fill it out and say you got income by 200K, and then you get the American Express card.
I don't think we are.
You don't funk?
We are not going to endorse any kind of fraud, credit fraud.
Even though Borders not endorsing, Borders committing. There's two different things. And then, Borders was told come over, and what did Miss Man do? He do a little Facebook Live with the TikTok Live with the toys. Then he said, look at the toys. What the name? Yahoo. He turned the spoon. You know what? Just go.
Good night, boys.
Good night, boys. We're just going to leave that.
You have created a monster and it will destroy you.
She's alive! Alive!
I am Dracula.
Another thing, he's back. Oh, got the ball.
Hey, Monster Kids, thanks for hanging out for another episode of Monster Manor. Do us a favor, though, and hit the bell to get reminders of when we add new content. Subscribe to our channel, and while you're waiting for new shows, check out our website at www.monstermanor1313.com. New content at least every other week, sometimes even more often. Like and follow our Facebook page as well for other content. And lastly, if you want to help us out, check out our Patreon under Monster Manor with Scott Fenster. Thanks for hanging out until the end.
We're going to have to